And my neighbor's dragging a body around upstairs.
Yeah, I know. I heard that in the background a second ago. I was like, what is that noise?
Imagine if that really was a body. Ooh. It's definitely not a body.
I feel like it's just something that like moved constantly.
I mean, sometimes I feel like they are like a woodworker and they're making furniture up there is what I might imagine because I hear banging and
sure,
dragging. I mean, it's definitely not, but it's like in my headcanon, they're like a carpenter who does like small batch furniture from their apartment.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Book Retorts. I'm Danielle.
I'm Sam.
And this is a podcast where one of us explains a weird piece of media to the other who has no experience with it.
Yes, that's me. I'm like a brand new table. You have to sand and polish me, make me shine.
Did you take that from the fact that you think your upstairs neighbors are miniature woodworkers?
Yeah, we had that conversation before the show started, so I figured let's roll with it.
Good callback to the thing that they don't know anything about.
That's for you, Danielle.
All over me. All right, we are doing something that Sam doesn't know anything about today for once in our lives.
Wow. I mean, we did something about that last time, didn't we?
Yeah, it happens sometimes multiple times in succession.
Wow, we almost managed to fulfill the brief of our podcast. Good job, us.
It's rare when you're doing 18 years of Hyperion, everybody.
Look, Danielle, I'm not saying it wasn't a mistake, but we're pot committed now.
I think it's fitting. All right. Anyway, today we are harkening back a little bit to something we have done previously.
Is it more crabs?
It's not. Sorry, everybody. But it is something else. Any other guesses before I tell you?
Nancy Drew?
So close.
Hardy Boys?
Absolutely.
There it is. All right. Got it.
And Sam, unfortunately for you, I'm going to need a brief summary.
Of the previous Hardy Boys book?
The previous Hardy Boys book.
You gotta be kidding me.
Dead on target.
Oh, I haven't even listened to the episode since it came out, I don't think.
I know, it's really good.
The thing I remember best about the episode was the guard dogs that were just the dogs, the mall dog cops.
Absolutely, that is where that came from.
The
Great
dog
listen,
mall
everybody.
cops.
Feel free to listen to that and come back to this one.
All right, so there are these boys. They're called the Hardy Boys. Jim and
Good
Joe.
call,
Who
good call.
cares? Are they Jim and Joe Hardy? No, Hank and Joe?
Frank and Joe.
I was close. I got Joe. I give me 50% credit for that.
My gosh.
Oh, excuse me, Danielle. When did we do that book?
God, it was one of our first ones.
Yeah, so I think a little leeway is owed to me here.
Yeah, it was at least a year ago.
All right. So I don't remember much about the specifics. I do remember the Hardy Boys, they got involved in some kind of like terrorist plot, and they went to London briefly for no reason.
Do you remember why they got involved with the terrorist plot?
Because they think they're detectives and wouldn't butt out?
No, it was because, remember there was a political rally at the mall?
Oh, right, and their dad was like doing security or something for the politician.
And do you remember what happened?
I mean, what happened when? Because people were
what
like at the
happened
very
in
end.
the parking lot of the mall?
Didn't like some dude drive up in like a car and give him the car and say, "You're coming with us"?
Absolutely not. So Iola, Joe's girlfriend, went to get into her car. And it blew up, and she died.
Right. Yeah, I did not remember that at all. I didn't remember he had a girlfriend, I'll be honest.
It's the entire plot of the novel. It's the starting point of the novel.
It's just a precipitating event. It is irrelevant for the rest of the book.
Yeah, well, that happens, and then from then on, they're sucked into this political thing.
I forgot he had a girlfriend because who cares?
Well, it's very important for the upcoming story, so...
So what I do remember is the climax in the mall where they go like the mall basement, these bombs on the pillars and stuff. It's great.
Do you remember Joe had a dart gun? That he
yes. I was like, she's like, why? Why is there a dart gun? I remember the good stuff. I remember the important stuff. The girlfriend, who cared about that? The dart gun and the bombs in the mall. I remember that.
Do you remember the name of the
No.
people that were trying to kill them? The group?
No, of course not.
They were called the Assassins, Sam.
Oh, okay. So I should have guessed that. No one didn't remember it. My brain's like, you don't even remember that. It's too obvious.
So the assassins are trying, I think, if from my recollection, the assassins are trying to take out the political guy that's doing his rally at the mall.
Right. And they like, put the dogs to sleep or something.
Yes. And then they get involved with the government agency that's trying to take down the assassins. Do you remember the name of the government agency?
No, of course not. Was it called the government or the agency?
No, it's called the network. So
close.
That's close.
Okay, great.
With Mr. Gray.
Wait. Isn't that a Sandra Bullock movie? That's the net.
The network.
The net. That's close.
And they get involved with the Gray Man, who's like the lead of the network or whatever their point
Danielle,
person.
this is all new to me.
Okay. All that happens. Great job, Sam. You got to the dogs. That's all that matters.
That's what, again, I remember the important things. I remember the mall. I remember they went to London for no reason and it annoyed me. I remember the dart gun and the bombs, and everything else was gravy.
Yeah, which, besides, that's the plot. Sure. Okay.
Look,
so that happened, everybody. There's an assassin group trying to take out a political person, and the network is the government agency that is trying to, get rid of the assassins who have been around since the Crusades, somehow.
Right! It was all this, like, nonsense about them being, like, the whole Templar kind of stuff back in the ages and everything, which is dumb.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, great. Okay.
I can't believe I didn't remember the bomb blowing up his girlfriend. That's on me.
That's really on you. So we're jumping ahead to Hardy Boys Case Files number 4, The Lazarus Plot.
Is that was that the first case file book that we talked about?
Dead on Target, I believe. Yeah, it's number 1.
Okay. So we skipped 2 intervening books.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with it. And Perfect. This is, again, the 1987 book, The Lazarus Plot. I'm going to get you a summary. You can tell us what it's about. The
Lazarus Plot. Let me guess. It's about resurrection.
Maybe.
Come on. It's called The Lazarus Plot. If it's not about resurrection, then I hate it.
All right, there you go.
Camped out in the Maine woods, the Hardy Boys get a real jolt when they glimpse Joe's old girlfriend, Lola Morton.
No, Can it really Iola. Iola.
Iola? Well, I'm sorry.
There's a capital I.
Look, if you don't have the serifs, I don't know. Also, Lola's
Why would it be a lowercase L and a capital M?
Look. I don't know how people write these things, and also, like, I blame fonts that don't have serifs. If you want
I
things
didn't
to be readable,
the font. I blame the Discord.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun. But, like, cut a little slack here. Iola Morton, can it really be the same girl who was blown to bits before their eyes by a terrorist bomb? I mean, no. Either she didn't die or it's not the same girl. Let's be clear. Frantically searching for her, Frank and Joe are trapped in the lair of the most diabolical team of scientists ever assembled. What? Now the survival of a top-secret government intelligence organization is at stake? What?
To be fair, I did cut out 1 or 2 lines, but I don't think it would help.
Frank and Joe must discover the bizarre truth about Iola before the scientists unleash one final deadly experiment. A couple of things, just gonna say. 1, Iola, not a common name, so I'm still not taking any heat for that one.
I did say it earlier, though, talking about her death.
I thought you said Viola, which is an actual name. 2, this sounds like a Mad Libs about, like, name an agent, name a thing that could be involved in an organization. Like, fill in the blanks here for, like, evil scientists, top secret government organization. Like, what is going on?
You're going to find out. This week on the Hardy Boys, The Lazarus Plot.
Oh, I'm so excited to see how they brought Iola back to life.
All right. You ready for this?
No, but I'm doing it anyway. Let's go. Let's roll into it.
So Frank and Joe are out fishing, taking a break after they had nearly died from their previous case file, which was a run-in with the fanatic followers of the Rasha and his cult of crime.
Well, that sounds racist.
It totally was. It's the 1980s.
Yeah, oof. Oof.
But I always love how they, like, give you the name of it. Like, the Hardy Boys in their heads are like, what are we going to call last case we did? The Cult of Crime.
That's a pretty good name, the Cult of Crime, gotta admit. It's like a cargo cult, but worse.
So they head to Maine for some time off, and while Joe is in town buying some supplies, Frank wonders if Joe will ever be able to live without girls for 2 weeks, as they're in the Maine woods.
So wait, which one's girlfriend died?
Joe.
And he's the one who can't live without girls for 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, he's usually a player.
So then he wasn't that attached to his girlfriend, I take it.
We'll find out. I mean, he is attached to his girlfriend. He's also known as being a player, a little bit of a player.
But he's the one with the girlfriend who died.
Absolutely.
And he's like, I'm a player, but she died, and it was like the love of my life, and it killed me forever. And
well, I mean, she died, now he could be a player. You could see it that way.
The silver lining.
And then Frank gets sad because he knows Joe's heart really only belonged to Iola, and she, quote unquote, disappeared in a fireball.
I don't mean, those two things are incongruous to me. I'm sorry. But like, his heart only belonged to Iola. Also, he was a player. Like, make it what?
Maybe he just gets hit on a lot, but he doesn't actually go after the girls.
I gotta move past this. Let's go. We're gonna be here all week.
So as he's contemplating whether his brother will ever get over Iola, Joe comes crashing through the underbrush. Frank tells him he looks like he's seen a ghost, and Joe tells him he has. He's seen Iola. Frank gets worried, thinking that Joe has been permanently damaged from too many bad guy concussions. And Joe insists
to be fair, they should both get a scan. They need a CAT scan.
And Joe plays football, so he really could be concussed.
Oh, get him an MRI immediately.
And so Joe insists that he really did see her. She suddenly stepped out from behind a tree as he was heading back.
Booga, booga, booga.
No, she was wearing the same clothes as the day of the fireball.
What?
Just telling you what happened. These are the facts of the story.
Is this like one of those things where they clone somebody, but they clone their clothes too? So that it doesn't make any sense.
I don't know what to tell you, Sam. I didn't make up the story.
Did you have one outfit like a cartoon character?
Yes.
Okay.
Frank tells him he has to, quote, face what happened. Nothing was left of the car but a few hunks of molten metal. There was no chance Iola could have survived.
Unless she wasn't in the car, right?
This seems also very strong words to your brother.
Joe, she's dead. Get over it. Move on.
Nothing's left but a few chunks of molten metal. Her body is ash.
She died in the most painful way possible, screaming in agony, alone in this world. Can you imagine how awful that must have been for her to die and see the world briefly before it all goes up in flames? She expired.
He doesn't go quite that far, but he does say the police said the heat was so intense that it left no traces of her, except in your memory, Joe.
Oh, no.
Frank, what are you doing?
I thought when I was doing my hyperbolic description, I was bad. That's worse.
Yeah, Joe reminds him that they never found a trace of Iola bodies, and that's when he says that line, and I'm like, ooh.
You know when they never find a trace, the person's still alive. It's basic Mission Impossible rules.
So Joe insists that he really did see her in the woods, and Frank decides to change shacks, I guess, and he...
says it was Bigfoot.
Yes, how did you know? That's the real plot of this novel.
If this turns to Bigfoot Hunters with the Hardy Boys, I'm on board.
That would be why I was doing it, yes. Anyway, Frank is like, so did Iola say or do anything? And Joe is like, well, she was just about to, but then she looked kind of confused, like she didn't know where she was or what she was doing. Her eyes went blank, and she suddenly turned and ran, disappearing before I could catch up.
Okay, two things. Either she's a robot, which would be great, or this is like a clone with a K, in which case I'm very mad.
It has certain similarities, but no. So Frank, clearly thinking he's probably lost his marbles or something, is reasonable. Yeah, sure, let's go look for Iola. Why not? I can't resist a mystery. Let's go.
I think you could resist a mystery. You could try.
He could, but he's not going to because there'd be no plot.
Okay, well, that's on me.
So Joe takes him back to the spot where he saw Iola and is about to explain the event, how it all played out, where everybody came from, when they hear a sound, and Joe grabs Frank's arm, pulling him to the ground, and bullets whiz inches from their head.
Damn, they missed.
These are all chapter ends.
Oh, of course.
So they roll themselves to the tree line and then crawl further into the woods until the bullets stop. And they decide to split up and come at the rifle shooters from behind, using whippoorwill calls for the signals.
A, what's a whippoorwill?
It's a bird.
Okay, great. B, can you do a whippoorwill call?
Absolutely not.
Okay, worth a try. C, I think that... Okay, you did it anyway, and I loved it. So, don't doubt yourself, Danielle.
That was for you on your birthday.
Aw, thank you. C.
I'm a cheap present giver.
No, you're not. C. I think the Hardy Boys are in some kind of Final Destination thing where, the universe is trying to kill them, and they just keep escaping somehow.
Thousands of books later.
Yeah, nobody's in that many deadly situations without the universe having in for them. They just walk into the woods and they're being shot with bullets, just randomly.
Well, luckily this is number 4, so we've got some time.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, they don't get to use their whippoorwill calls because by the time they see the glint of the rifle in the sun, this is Frank. Frank sees the glint of the rifle in the sun, and the man holding it has somehow already spotted him. He has one job. He just needed to get to the people without getting caught, and he didn't manage to do that. Frank raises his hands in surrender and steps towards the man.
And he gets shot immediately.
No. He somehow manages to get close enough to kick him in the chin and sidestep the rifle.
What? What rifleman's like, I've been trying to shoot you, and then you present yourself to me, and I let you get close to me without shooting you.
And also, like, rifles are pretty long. Can you get close enough to somebody to kick them in the chin while the rifle's still in front of them without being, like, pressed up against the rifle?
That's the problem. I mean, yes, if you have, like, your, abdomen buried in the rifle.
That was one of those things I read several times. I was like, I don't think logistically that makes sense.
And like that came up from the side. The guy did not point the gun at him. He was like, oh, his hands are up. He won't attack me. I can take my guard down. Who is this guy, and why does he suck at his job of shooting the Hardy Boys?
I don't know. But Frank's celebrating his success a little of like, yeah, I got the guy. And he does not see the other man until it's too late and he's knocked unconscious.
Why did they shoot him?
Questions for the ages. You're going to have a lot of those questions in this book, because I did.
Oh, no.
That's every Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew book. You're like, just kill them. Not that
you were
want
literally
them to die.
shooting at them earlier, and he's like, well, you shot me and missed. Let me just give you a target, and you don't. I don't.
Maybe they weren't really meaning to shoot at him. You don't know. We'll find out.
Maybe they were like deer hunting. Like, no, the Hardy Boys down the way.
Yep, maybe. So Joe hears a commotion and makes his way towards them as the two men talk in French, and he sees Frank on the ground. He wonders if the men are the survivors of the French gang that the brothers had broken up in their case, Evil Incorporated.
How much of this book is callbacks, Danielle?
Just those two, I think.
Okay.
But I really needed to include both.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, yes.
Evil Incorporated is maybe the second one. It might even be the first one. I can't remember if Dead on Target's first or second.
How's that a dumber evil organization name than Eris from Cody Banks?
It's not. It's really not. But good call on Cody Banks one. We couldn't remember it last time we tried to think of it.
Yeah, I can't remember that. It's somehow dumber than that.
So the two men wake up Frank only to put a gun to his head, which seems counterintuitive. Like, if he's knocked unconscious, just shoot him.
Just shoot him. And they put a gun to his head to shoot him, or like, tell us your secrets, boy.
Well, they like put a gun to his head like they're going to shoot him, but then Joe spurs into action and runs across the forest trying to stop them from shooting him.
I don't understand anything that's happened in this book. I mean, I understand
it doesn't make sense.
Okay.
It actually makes less and less sense as the book goes on.
I was going to say, like, everything, like, I understand what is happening, like the words are comprehensible, but as, like, actions that humans would do.
They're androids.
Yeah. I'm not comprehending. Maybe they're robots and they can't identify a person as a person unless they're awake. You know, it's like, if they're asleep, they don't register as a human being, so they have to make sure they're awake before they kill them.
I don't know. Maybe that's what's happening here. We'll find out.
I'm trying.
Maybe. So to his surprise, Joe's surprise, before the men can turn their guns to shoot at him, Frank karate chops the men who drop their guns. There's a lot of karate chopping in this book. And Frank takes on one while Joe takes the other one, and they knock both of them out.
How long have they been doing martial arts?
Years and years and years.
Is that like a thing where they actually do like martial arts class, or they're just like magically good at karate?
No, they do. Like Frank comments multiple times in the book about his callbacks to his teacher. Okay. You know what? They take classes.
You know, I'm impressed. The book actually put the effort there. Well done, book.
Yep. They always, they learn stuff. They know how to do things because they took classes. It's rare that they just, magically know how to do something.
Yeah, okay. It's interesting the book put the effort there, but not into making the sequence at all plausible.
It doesn't make any sense. So Frank admits that he actually came to a few minutes earlier, but he was trying to listen in on their conversation. But unfortunately, his year of French in high school didn't cut it. And I really feel like if anybody should speak foreign languages, it's these two people. They travel
jet set
all the time.
Yeah. If you are trying to be if you stopped a French criminal organization called Evil Incorporated, what would that be in French? I wonder.
Evil Incorporated.
No, that is Danielle with a bad French accent. But A+ for effort.
If that's the name of the corporation, that's just how they would say it.
You know what? That's a good point. It's like when, we take words from Spanish, like chimichanga or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I stand corrected.
So, there you go.
But you think they would have learned at least a little French to take down a French crime syndicate. But what do I know?
They travel all the time, and they are supposed to be able to blend in and, overhear conversations. And really, it would, behoove them to learn Spanish and French at the bare minimum.
You can tell the Hardy Boys are really an American crime-solving duo because they absolutely refuse to learn any language like English and think everyone else should speak it.
Yeah, to be fair, they might know Spanish. There's probably a book out there where they know Spanish, but apparently he doesn't know French, even though he took a full year of it. Though he explains it away by being like, well, I was a little concussed on the ground and, my head was a little worry.
I don't think a year of French is going to give you enough to understand a conversation between native speakers, probably not talking very slowly.
No, he said they were talking very quickly and in an accent that he hadn't heard before.
Like, I don't blame him for not knowing what they said after taking a single year of French in high school. Like, that's fine.
No, but he should already know French. I mean,
that's the point I'm getting at. Like,
the point is,
they don't need to focus so hard on how he didn't, like, 1 year of French. Like, how do you not remember after 1 year of French? Like, that's fine. But you should know French anyway, just because of your occupation.
Yeah. So they tie up the two bad guys and then wake them up to find out what they're up to, asking them if they speak English. And the man
They tied them up with what?
The ropes and stuff. I don't know. Camping, they're hunting.
So they have ropes to tie up the bad guys. The bad guys have nothing to tie up the Hardy Boys.
Well, they were about to tie them. They were about to shoot them, supposedly, but then it didn't work out. So they didn't need rope for the Hardy Boys.
All right. I'm still angry about that.
So they ask the guys if they speak English, and one of them says, yes, of course. We come from Quebec. We French Canadians must speak both French and English. Thank you for the details, sir.
I'm glad the Canadian history lesson is there.
Yeah, I don't know what reality you would live in where you just tried to shoot somebody and then they're like, do you speak English? And you're like, you didn't just say yes, as opposed to, yes, let me tell you, we came from, we're French Canadian, we're from Quebec. We traveled down here 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, what? Why? Why are you sharing this much information?
If you are assassins caught assassinating, maybe don't tell them your life story when you're caught?
Nope, they're French Canadian, they're from Quebec. So the brothers ask him why they were shooting at them, and the men seem perplexed. So they're like, oh, we weren't shooting at you.
What?
And then realization pours over their face. They're like, oh, we thought you were deer. You were the deer we were shooting at. And they apologized for attacking earlier as well, but when Frank approached them out of the woods and then, kind of attacked them, they thought he was some kind of criminal or madman.
Really? That's the explanation they're going with?
Yeah, that's the one they're going with.
Great. And so these Hardy Boys were in the middle of, apparently, in a woods designated for deer season without a high-vis vest, and no one, like...
It gets weirder. Wait for it, Sam.
Oh, okay, sure.
So he tells them, the Hardy Boys tell them they won't untie the two guys until they promise not to shoot at everything that moves, especially because hunting season hasn't actually started yet.
Oh, so you guys are poachers?
I guess they're out there shooting a deer.
Or Hardy Boys, the mistake
Hardy
for
Boys.
deer? It doesn't make any sense to me. None of this makes sense to me.
And then all the Hardy Boys, all of them.
Have a good hearty chuckle. Ha ha ha.
They steal all the bullets from these guys for good measure. Take them all.
Sure, why not?
And the men are outraged and threaten to call the authorities. And Frank and Joe are like, yeah, cool, you do that. I'm sure hunting outside of season and shooting at humans is going to go over well. Have fun with that.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
So the two men simmer down
also,
and admit...
this is America. You have no rights here, Quebecois.
Crazy French people.
French Canadian. Again, they have very different ideas of what it is to be themselves. Very distinct identities.
Yes, I know. So they simmer down, the two men, admit that they might have been a little too quick on the trigger. Apparently, Henry. The angrier one shoots first and asks questions later, and
what?
it wasn't even his first almost person shoot of the day,
what?
Shot of the day, because apparently he shot at a young woman earlier, thinking she was a deer as well. Says
this person should not be allowed anywhere near a gun, the woods, or other people.
I know, it's wild. Joe perks up this information, obviously, because he's like, young woman in the woods? I'm looking for a young woman in the woods.
I mean, who isn't? Let's be honest.
And he grills them, and it sounds just like Iola. Woo!
Yes, I'm surprised.
They point him in the direction she ran off to, and the Hardys go on their way.
And they just leave him tied up in the woods to die, eaten by the deer.
They untie them, but no bullets.
That's less fun. I mean, to be fair, that's the most responsible thing they've done so far, is disarm these madmen.
So they head through the woods, and it turns into an abandoned trail or road. And though it looks like it hasn't been used in years, Joe does find a small chunk of blue sweater on a tree, so they know they're on the right track.
So, question.
Yes.
I'm sorry to go back to this. So when whichever one approached him and kicked him in the chin,
Frank.
Yeah, I nailed it. All right.
We had this problem last time, too. This is our third Hardy Boys episode, and you still don't know the name of the two men.
I know the name of them, Frank and Joe. I just don't know which one is which because they're
Earlier,
interchangeable
you were
in my
like
head.
Joe and Jim or whatever.
Yeah, but I said Hank and Joe, which is pretty close. But to be fair, they're interchangeable in my mind. They're basically the same person.
They're different people.
I've yet to see evidence to that, but let's go on. The point is, when Frank approached them to kick him in the face, they weren't like, "Oh no, we almost shot you. We're so sorry." They're just like, "Let's let this random guy approach me and kick me in the face."
The wild thing is, right, that they shot. Apparently, they thought it was deer, whatever. Maybe they didn't know it was a human. But then Frank comes out of the woods and they point a gun at him. Which, okay, you're scared because somebody just randomly walked out of the woods. But then Frank puts his hands up, and the guys aren't like, "Hey, what's up? You friend
We're
or
not trying to
foe?"
kill you. Yeah.
No. And Frank just walks forward and kicks him in the chin. So there's that.
This is like that thing where, if someone has a misunderstanding, like overhears something, if they just said one word to the person, they would clear up the whole thing.
Yeah,
this is that with
happened.
guns instead of relationships.
Anyway, they're on this
I had to go back to that. That's the last
trail.
I'll say of it. I'm done with that section. We can move past. There's that one last thing.
So eventually they come to a dead end. A tall wire fence topped with barbed wire is ahead of them. And the sign attached to the fence reads, "Warning, electrified fence. Property patrolled by armed guards and attack dogs. Trespassers will be shot on sight."
No, not evil scientist lair inside. No worries. Go home.
That is a lot of stuff for a sign.
I guess it's a big sign.
A really big sign. Joe insists that Iola must have gotten through somehow
What?
since she had to have gone somewhere. It's dead ends and she was on that trail. So where did she go if not somehow through the fence?
Literally anywhere else in the woods?
No, apparently this is the only way.
It's not like the path is some mystical barrier where she leaves it, she'll vanish.
Well, he assumes that she must have gone this way because they found the blue sweater, or part of the blue sweater, and then it's like, why would she go further into the woods? It would make more sense that she might go through the fence. That's their logic.
Okay, sure. Whatever, Hardy Boys.
So Joe reaches for the gate latch that's there,
It gets
and Frank
electrocuted.
Frank grabs his arm, reminding him that the electric current might be on. And he's like, it's all like abandoned road. So they talk through their options, Frank insisting there are 3 options to this fence issue.
Okay, let me hear them. Let me hear this Pascal wager of the electric fence variety.
They can either try to climb over it, which would be less than fun given the barbed wire at the top. Yeah, it's really tall.
They can try to dig under it, but they don't have any shovels.
They can dig under it, but they don't have shovels. Or they can cut through it, but hey, possibly an electric fence.
What do they have to cut through it with, though?
They'd have to go get something for either the digging under or the cutting through.
Yeah, so their only option is to climb over it or leave and come back.
Well, they decide to dig under it under the cover of darkness, so they're coming back.
Why?
And they don't check to see if it's electrified.
That's my first thing. Because if it's electrified, you can just break the lock off. It's fine, or pick the lock.
It's crazy. They don't check it.
They don't throw a stick at it or whatever to see.
They don't do anything.
They don't listen for the telltale hum of current running through the.
They do absolutely nothing.
Are the Hardy Boys good at their jobs, or are they just lucky?
This was particularly egregious to me. I was really upset that they didn't check the fence while they were standing there in the daylight just to confirm whether it was on or not.
Some boy detectives, I swear.
So they decide to head back to the village to buy some shovels and see if anyone knows anything about the property. So they hit up the general store worker who's got some loose lips when he sees some money flashed.
And he sinks ships. Got it.
He tells them the place they're talking about is probably the old Lazarus place. It was once called the Lazarus Clinic. Some fancy New York doctor opened it, and it had a lot of rich patients for a while, but the people paying the bills got tired of seeing no results, and the place went out of business. What kind of results, you may ask? Great question.
Eternal life results, obviously did. They're rich, creepy people funding a scientist. Obviously, they're trying to do some immortality play.
Yeah, well, that is never brought up. Nobody asks. So what did the Lazarus Clinic do?
I told you, it's an immortality play of some kind. If rich idiots want to freeze themselves in cryogenic stasis or whatever, this is the same kind of thing.
Quite possibly. So apparently it's deserted now and has been for a few years. Joe questions their need for shovels if it's deserted, because, fair question. Surely the electricity is probably not on the fence, because who would be paying for that?
Even if it was on, if you had, say, a shovel with a wooden handle, you could still smash the lock off and just go inside the door.
There you go. Yeah, they could have checked that earlier, but did they? No. They could have done it with a stick. Did they do that? No.
I'm just saying,
Did they throw anything at it? Joe touch it? Frank spit on it?
Even if the fence was still electrified, you could break off the, as long as you didn't.
Well, we need you on our detective team because this
clearly.
is terrible. So Frank thinks that the fence seemed to be in too good of repair and the warning sign was freshly made. So he thinks the electricity is probably going to be on.
Oh, is he a sign expert now? You carbon date that sign?
He's not an electric fence expert or they would have checked it, but that sign looked like it was freshly painted.
I don't know how electric fences work, but I know my signs. And that was a pristine printed sign on aircraft grade aluminum. So,
Yeah. So they get back to the fence under the cover of darkness and they splash some water on it and it's off.
I mean, is that how you test electric? I think you.
No, I was hoping you knew.
I mean, there are lots of kinds of electric fences, I assume, but the ones I've encountered at places with cattle or horses, they have several wires that are parallel that run, around the fence. And There may be, 4 to 8 inches apart, those wires. And if you bridge the wires, you get shocked.
Right.
So I don't think splashing water is going to be make a contiguous pillar of water to bridge those two contacts. You need something solid, like a stick, like you suggested, or a ruler or anything else.
Yeah, I have absolutely no idea. I was really hoping you could tell me whether or not the water would work because I immediately read that and was like, I don't know that's true.
I don't think that would work. Like I said, you need... Now, excuse me if I pull out my old nerd card here and talk about when Mythbusters tried to show you if you peed on an electric fence, if you could get shocked, and how you needed a laminar flow, so you needed a contiguous one that wasn't broke up into droplets of water, which would absolutely what happen if you just threw water at a fence.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, apparently it's off, Sam.
Great.
And the gate wasn't even locked, so that was a waste of several pages of book.
Why? Why do you even waste my time with the whole explanation I gave? I feel like I'm so angry I wasted my breath.
Okay, Danielle Simmons.
Look, it's one thing if the entire book is that, which is much funnier.
Right, Joe, anyway, is gung-ho on his rescue mission. Moving on. But Frank is trying to be realistic. Well, it's true. That's all he does.
It's a very fair point.
I'm going to pull that out for the rest of our lives.
I'm never going to live this down.
So Frank's trying to be realistic, being like, it could just be some girl. It may not have been Iola. Don't get your hopes up that your dead girlfriend's out there. But Joe's just not having it. He insists he can feel her in there.
Gross.
Yeah. So they make their way to a giant Victorian mansion that seems deserted.
In the middle of the woods. Nice.
But as they open the door to step inside, a blinding light circles them from all sides and someone says, "Freeze, or you will be the dead ones." Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Or what? It was like they were trying to kill somebody. And oh no, you will be the dead ones.
They were having a conversation about how it looked haunted. So maybe that was what it was trying to reference. But it didn't really make sense in context and made me laugh.
That'd be or you will become ghosts. The ghosts that haunt this place would be better.
I thought the line was poorly written.
Also, if this place is really occupied, why wasn't it locked at the gate?
You'll find out. Maybe. So they turn toward the voice, but they can't see anything through the light. And the voice continues, saying that they seem to be interested in entering the Lazarus Clinic. And they offer to give them a guided tour if they'll just raise their hands and allow 2 men to come forward and frisk them, taking all their weapons.
What? Why the exposition? Just say don't move while 2 people come and frisk you. You don't need to have this whole...
This book is just full of exposition. It's so good.
Oh, okay. Great.
Over-explaining is the whole shtick of this book.
Here it comes, yeah.
The voice says they'll continue on as long as the boys don't turn back to look for the person who's speaking, or they'll smash a rifle into their faces. Our narrator tells us that the mansion was originally built 90 years ago by an eccentric millionaire who later went bankrupt.
Just smash him in the head!
It was then converted into a mental clinic, which also went bankrupt, and now it's perfect for their organization. Not only did they buy it dirt cheap, but it provides a lot of privacy.
What is going on? Hey. I'm a criminal. If you turn around and look at my face, I'm going to smash your head in with my rifle butt. But as long as we keep walking, I can give you the history and tour of this place and tell you all of my secret plans.
They're so full of themselves. This is my favorite part of the book, is all of this.
This is the villain monologuing on steroids. And
so good. So Frank comments that
I died inside.
Frank comments that it's pretty sloppy of them to leave their gate unlocked. And then the voice tells them it was no accident. They unlocked it for the Hardy brothers.
So this is all a trap?
They were coming back under the cover of darkness, I guess.
What?
Frank feels...
This was all a trap to capture them. Just shoot them through the fence.
Yeah, so Frank feels the need to comment that exact thing. So basically we walked into a trap and Iola was the bait. And Joe exclaims, he's like, oh my god, it really was Iola then, and asks where she is, spinning around in his excitement to find her.
It could be literally anyone else pretending to be Iola.
It could be. He immediately gets a rifle barrel flashing towards his face, as promised, but he dodges it and uses the man's forward motion against him, his momentum, and shoves him into the other goon, and they fall over, and he yells for Frank to run for it.
This is why you shoot them first, or tie them up, or anything.
That's no fun. They need them. Or
tie them or handcuff them to each other, or whatever.
Way more fun.
Yeah.
None of this would happen if they did that, Sam.
Yeah, if they did any, basic protocol of, zip tie their legs together, so they have to do, a three-legged race.
But
Very
then you
funny.
couldn't do a walking tour of the mansion.
Yes, if they do the three-legged race, they can walk if they coordinate, but
sure,
they try to run it's hard, yeah.
It'd be way funnier, but then none of the rest of this would have happened.
I mean, it still could have happened. They could have been running up the door, doing okay, left, right.
Oh, gosh. So Joe makes his way upstairs and down a hallway, coming to a closed metal door, which seems at odds with the Victorian finery and the wooden doors.
So they didn't run back outside. They ran back into the mansion.
They're looking for Iola.
Oh, okay. I guess getting out with your life might be more important. You can get the authorities involved. Maybe raid this place. Hey, call that secret government organization you're friends with.
Nope. When he opens the door, his knees go weak. It's Iola!
Yay.
Yay. Unfortunately, she's strapped to the arms of a chair with electrodes on her head and seems unaware that Joe is there.
This is very Get Out.
It is. Also, there are 4 men in the room with her and doctor coats who seem surprised by the sudden intrusion.
Now, why are they wearing the doctor coats?
Because they're doctors.
It's not like you have to put the coat on to be a doctor. If you take the coat off, you're no longer a doctor.
It looks fancy when there's only the 6 of them in this house. I don't know.
It serves a purpose. It's supposed to keep you clean so you can take it off and not get your actual clothes dirty or bring your dirty clothes in. I'm so mad about that.
Well, maybe they are using it to do that exact thing, or they like the pockets. I don't know, Sam.
I mean, the pockets are pretty sweet.
He runs towards Iola, trying to rescue her, but before he can make it, a needle is stabbed into his arm and he passes out. The end.
Yeah, that's how that works. Good thing you have the sedative just ready to go. And dosed for an adult male when the only one in here is a adult female. I don't know how old they are. Are they in the 20s? Are they in the teens? I keep thinking they're 15.
Case Files, I think, is post. We had this discussion last time
and
I did not double check it. I feel like it's post high school.
Okay, that would make more sense for the shenanigans they're getting into.
Yeah, I could be wrong. So he later awakens in a room with Frank, and other than a pounding headache, the only wound on him is his thumb wrapped in a bandage, and so is Frank's.
They cut their thumbs off.
Yes.
That'd be the smart thing.
Neither entirely sure why, but it's low on their priority list, because they're well, who cares about our thumbs? We need to get out of here.
Probably a DNA sample, I'm guessing, or finger, something like that.
We'll find out. Or not. Maybe
just maybe it's not important. It'd be really good if it didn't come back.
So they're stuck in the room, which seems to be one of the high security rooms for the psychiatric patients from the previous era. Mm-hmm. And they decide they're going to have to make a break for it when someone comes in. And Joe says one of them has to make it out because he saw Iola there for sure.
Okay. So one of them has to make it out so they can get help?
Get Iola, whatever. Yes.
Okay, sure.
So Frank says the assassins must be involved then, or
Why?
Crusaders, because they're the only ones who could have gotten a hold of Iola before the car blew up. Because they were the ones that blew up the car, if I recall correctly. Yeah,
okay. I mean, that's not the worst logic they've had in this book so far.
I think it's probably the most logic they've had in this book so far.
That's fair. It's a good point.
So they must have grabbed her right as she was about to get in. And Joe agrees because he had not seen Iola actually get into the car, but he can't fathom why the assassins would want Iola to begin with.
I mean, very good question.
It is. Frank isn't sure either, but he figures, they must have some kind of reason, and they need to escape so they can alert the network.
The social network?
Yes. The social government network.
Oh, that one, yes.
We just talked about this.
I know, I'm kidding. I think the name is stupid.
Joe reminds him and the audience that the only way they can alert the network is from their home. Frank was the one who insisted that they needed a total break from crime fighting and insisted on leaving the modem at home, and they can only contact the network through that specific modem.
Was it a cellular modem? Is it a dial-up modem? What are we talking here?
Bees the heck out of me. It's 1987. Take your guess.
Because, I mean... Also, what kind of terrible secret government organization doesn't have a means to contact them by, like, radio or something?
Well, apparently there's a throwaway line later in the book about a radio thing, but it got destroyed or something, or they misused it, or something happened. They no longer have that. They only have the modem.
I mean, the smart way to do it would be have, like, a number they can call from a payphone or whatever. And, like, if they say a special code phrase into that number, it, like...
Agreed. However, no, Sam, they only have the modem.
Sure. I'm the idiot.
This is vital to the plot. They only have the
Why
modem.
are these spy organizations so terrible at being a spy organization? Like, you have a number, you can call it, and you can say, you know, the chicken has eaten the pig or whatever. I'm terrible at code phrases, but I get the idea. And they know where you are because it's a payphone in the 80s. And so they just like, okay, we got to get a bunch of agents there post haste.
That's true.
Put me in charge of the network, damn it.
On it. Frank admits that was probably pretty dumb. They should have brought the modem along.
What are they going to plug the modem into?
Oh, no. I don't know how it works, Sam. I don't know.
It's like, I
does
have my
a
modem.
modem mean the same thing in 1987 as it does now? I
mean,
don't know.
modem is just is an abbreviation for modulator demodulator.
Okay.
Which, you're welcome, nerds.
Never needed to know that in my whole life.
Well, you do now. So all it does is, like, take a signal and convert it to a different kind of signal.
Well, that's what they have back at the house, but not with them.
Okay.
So Frank asks Joe to run through the contact procedures to confirm he knows how to do it without him if Joe's the one that makes it out. You know,
so where do they live?
They live in Bayport. I
mean, is that in Maine, too?
No. I'm going to say... Oh, this is terrible. I should know this. Maybe, like, Massachusetts?
So I'm trying to figure out here. Hey, one of them is going to escape, run all the way back to their house, or, you know, drive, however many hours or days it's going to take them to get back to their home.
It's New York. I was right the first time in my head.
Where is it?
New York.
It's New York. So they have to go all the way back to New York from Maine, which, again, it's not like the furthest, but it's definitely, you know, not...
Always.
And like just to pop around the corner, and you're going to leave the other person here and hope that they don't get murdered by the assassins, whose very name implies they're going to kill him.
Yeah, who knows? So anyway, Joe goes to tell him, like, to walk through it with him, and then stops, kind of, like, thinking about it. Frank asks him what's wrong, and he's like, well, the place might be bugged. Like, I probably shouldn't walk through our super secret contact procedures out loud, Frank.
Oh, they've had two good ideas this whole book.
And he thinks it's weird that Frank didn't think of that because that's really more his MO than Joe's. And Frank looks angry, insisting that he already checked the room out. Obviously, he's not an idiot. I don't know. And Joe's a little weirded out by his behavior, wondering if the drugs are having a lingering effect on them. And
I scanned the thing for hidden microphones in the walls by magic.
Well, that's what Joe says. He's like, there could be, like, a lot of sophisticated ways for them to be listening, and this is their building. Like,
they can hold a glass up to the wall.
Like, no, I don't really want to tell you that. That seems like a bad idea. Joe refuses to tell him, as I said, reminding him that the gray man said to never reveal the contact code. And Frank looks totally incensed at this, but ends up shrugging, basically allowing the conversation to be over. Like, fine, whatever.
That's why you don't tell children. I call them children because I don't care if they're like 20 or whatnot. They seem like children to me. That's why you don't tell them your secret spy contact details.
Right, exactly. So the goons come back to get them, leading them down the hall, and Frank goes in front of Joe first into the room. And as he walks in, he says, "Hi, Joe." And Joe hears a voice inside the room saying hello back. And Joe is confused, obviously, because who's Frank talking to?
There's more than one person in the world named Joe, let's be honest.
He is, but why would Frank know him? They're locked in a building.
Danielle, but he has a name tag.
Okay. Joe walks in, confused, and he stops in shock. Inside the room is himself, another Joe.
Okay, it is cloning. Great. Or robots.
Also, the real Frank, strapped to a chair.
So this was Robot Frank?
Maybe. We'll find out.
So was this some elaborate ruse to try to get the network contact information?
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
I mean, that seems over the top.
Well, they really wanted that contact code. So Joe being Joe takes an immediate shot at his own double, and they get to do a brief, very evenly matched fight until
they're punching, they punch each other in the fists so they can't like...
Yeah, they're basically, that's like...
Perfectly symmetrical fighting.
Basically.
Right.
Until a voice comes over a speaker telling them to stop because the experiment is over. They could continue fighting forever with no one winning because the bonus Joe is a perfect match.
That's not how it works. If I fought myself, one of us would win. Like, it just takes one mistake.
Yeah. And they're like, unless they're literally identical with the exact same brain, thinking the exact same thoughts at the exact same time, there's no way that's ever going to work.
But even then, it'd have to be mirrored in some way or whatever.
So they get a hold of Joe, strap him to Jojo, and they strap him to a chair next to his brother. And the voice says it would like to introduce the team possible for today's show.
Why? Why are you doing a roll call?
So good. Love this.
And please welcome your assassin cloning team. All the way from Maine, we have Dr. Blah, blah, blah from Quebec.
Nope, he's from Germany, probably.
Oh, of course. I forgot what era this was.
The first up is Dr. Helmut von Heisen.
What? No. No, that's not a real name.
It's so good. He's the most brilliant plastic surgeons in the world. Unfortunately, the world does not yet know of the remarkable advances he has made in skin grafting techniques, since he was unable to publish the results of the splendid scientific experiments he performed while being a young doctor at a Nazi camp.
Well, I saw that coming, but also, like, so these are not clones or robots. These are just, they made body doubles with plastic surgery?
Yeah, we'll get into it. All your questions will be explained with terrible answers.
Okay, great. That's the part I was hoping for. I don't want real answers. I want terrible answers.
So they appreciate his genius, though, because behold the wonders. Marvel at the bonus Hardys, all the way down to their thumbprints, are 100% correct.
So they managed to graft thumbprints onto them in like the 2 hours while they were unconscious?
Yeah. So somehow Bonus Joe and Frank will have operational thumbprints in just a couple of days, but the Hardys will take weeks to heal. Don't ask me the difference. I don't know.
That was my question. Yeah. How do you... And just the thumbprints. The other fingers, not getting printed.
Next up is Colonel Chin Wan, chief of the indoctrination section of the Red Army. He engineered the successful brainwashing program used on American prisoners in the Korean War.
What? This is like Star Trek, where they have all the like multinational, you get Chekhov and Sulu and... But exactly of evil people.
Chin bows and thanks the voice for his praise, saying it would have been impossible without the technical help of his comrade, Peter Clark. Peter Clark, please step forward.
Are they getting trophies? Are they passing them out? What is going on?
Love this part.
Are they going medals? Like, who cares? Why are the Hardys didn't know any of this?
Favorite part of possibly any Hardy Boys ever. So.
I really hope there's like spotlights dancing around. There's like that music going, and then like the guy talks too long, they start playing him off.
In my head, I had one of those like announcers from like the dating game or something.
I was thinking more like from The Price is Right.
Yeah, 100% that. So Peter is a former employee of a pioneering electronics firm from the West Coast of the United States who has supplied them with the most advanced techniques for computerizing and electronically implanting information into the human brain.
So this is brain chips?
Yeah, brain chips. So they go on to explain that they recruited two men who looked similar to the Hardys, and then using their excellent file on their personal lives that they gathered somehow, they programmed them with the details, recorded their voice and videotaped their activities, and programmed their speech patterns and motor skill capabilities.
Wouldn't it be easier just to like have them watch the videos and memorize information and like imitate them?
But it wouldn't be perfect, Sam. We need perfection. Why would you otherwise have a brainwashing specialist and a computerized implant specialist?
Seems way more than you like. Impressionists do a really good job. That's all you need.
Well, nope, they're not doing that.
Great.
Basically, these two men are the Hardy brothers, except they're programmed to think what the Lazarus Clinic wants them to think and what they want them to do.
How do they recruit these two men?
Beats me.
hey, guy, we'll give you $10 each if you let us put chips in your brain that override your free will.
I don't think it's hard to find bad guys, Sam. 1-800-HENCHMEN.
100 hench for you.
Frank asks why they're still alive then,
Yeah, good question.
Frank and Joe, they must want something, obviously. And the voice is like, yeah, you're right. Since you walk straight into our hands, we are using this opportunity to pump you for every bit of information we can get.
So what was their plan if the Hardy Boys weren't fishing in Maine at this coincidentally exact same place?
I don't know, kill them at home and take over. The plan was.
But they're not going to get the information from them. Either they had enough information to execute their plan, and they should kill the Hardy Boys now without telling them anything, or they needed to kidnap the Hardy Boys at some point, and they just lucked into it, which is even wilder.
Yeah, let's go with the latter, and then this was just like a good opportunity that they're like, oh, well, we don't have to plan the kidnapping because they're here. They're literally next door. That was kind of the vibe I got from that was what I assumed happened in this book, according to what they say.
Bonkers.
The brothers insist that no amount of torture or whatever is going to make them talk, since they'll end up dead anyway.
They're just going to scan their brains, since they apparently have magic brain chips.
And the voice is like, that's super wrong. There's a breaking point for everybody. But also, let me introduce you to the fourth member of our team.
There's more!
Ivan Boshevsky. Ivan was employed by the KGB during Stalin's reign. We recruited him for his excellent work in extracting information from reluctant subjects, quote unquote.
So they have a torture expert and a brain chip expert, and nobody thought to use the brain chip to, take information out of the brain?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Great.
So the Hardys are like, we'll never talk. And the voice is like, oh, I wouldn't dream of hurting the two such fine young men. I was showing you Ivan for funsies, I guess. Why they introduced it, Ivan.
We choreographed the curtain call here, so we had to bring him in.
Yeah. I have a way easier way to get information. Goons, bring in the girl.
So they're going to use sex?
No, they're just going to bring
That's
in
way
Iola.
more sense. What they know it's not really Iola. They know it's like a plastic surgeon.
We don't know.
Clone.
We're going to find out. We're finding out right now. Is this Iola or not, Sam?
Even if they say it is, I would not believe them.
Well, that's what you have to prove. It's Iola. That's what we're getting into. Is it Iola or is it not?
But regardless, if it was Iola, I'm not going to spill my beans to Iola.
Okay, well, let's get into it. He's not going to spill his beans. It's just we're holding your potential girlfriend captive for information. What are you going to do
I would
about
tell you,
it?
she's already dead to me now, so whatever.
That'd be such a funny plot twist. So Joe is freaking out. I've already dated 3 people since then.
Yeah, seriously. I'm sorry, Iola, but
including
I think we should break up.
Vanessa or whatever her name is from Evil Incorporated. I think there was a girlfriend in that one.
He dated the evil.
I don't think he dated her, but he was kind of into her, and I think it turned out she was evil, if I recall correctly. That is a deep pull from my memory. I'm not 100% sure that's true. But that book was in my bathroom for years, so it's possible that's true.
I can't complain about your memory of the Hardy Boys. Mine is clearly a sieve.
So Joe's freaking out, as one would be, and they tell Iola to say hi to her boyfriend, although she looks a little worse for wear mentally, because she's still a little out of it. She asks Joe what he's doing there, and he asks the same question back.
Good question. Also, why did the assassins kidnap Iola to begin? Assuming they did, why?
Why would I tell you that, Sam?
I mean, I'm just curious, is there a point to this, or is it just maybe we can use it as leverage against the Hardys at some point in the nebulous future?
That. I don't know. I have no idea. We're going to find out. We'll find out together.
I don't think we will.
It's a journey we're going on together on this podcast. Before anybody can do any kind of talking, the voice is like, obviously, she's our threat. We're going to use her to get information out of you. So, Ivan, go to work. And Joe breaks immediately.
So they're going to torture Iola to break them, which, that's a pretty good technique. I'll give props for that. Yeah.
And Frank interrupts him. He's like, dude, she's just a double.
Yes, thank you. That was my first thing.
Obviously not real.
Yeah, that's what I would have said. I would have wasted their time, but you got to prove to me she's real before I'll trust that you're actually torturing her.
Right. And the voice is like, smart as always, Frank. Joe, you can ask her anything you want. She's the real deal. You'll know that
they
when
have
you
the
talk
brain
to her.
chip in her.
Because you can ask her anything you want. Literally anything.
Where's that mole on my butt?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Okay, so Joe asks for some time alone with her, which they grant him for reasons.
They're definitely monitoring them, for sure.
Yeah. They're like, if you try anything, we will kill you both. And Joe immediately asks her how she ended up there. And she tells him that a man yanked her away from the car just before it exploded. And she's brought to the Lazarus Clinic. She doesn't know why. And she's basically been hanging out there until a few days ago. They told her that the Hardys were camping nearby. And she was supposed to lure them into a trap. And they threatened to let Ivan loose on her if she didn't help. And she's seen him work on other people. And she was like freaked out by that idea. Which one would it be, I feel?
That would not convince me that she's a real person or the real Iola, though. That sounds like a made-up story so far.
We'll get into it. I'm not saying that it's convincing to me, but maybe it'll be convincing to you or Joe.
Okay.
When she saw him in the woods, she couldn't do it. Like, she saw Joe and she's like, no, I can't, do that to my thought I was dead ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
So she couldn't do it and she ran away. Unfortunately, ended up leading them to the house anyways, obviously.
Okay. Sure. Accidentally worked. Great plan.
So she says she doesn't understand what they could possibly want from the Hardys. And Joe was like, they want information on how the network works. Like, they want the contact information. And
they want to work the network.
They want to work the network. And
I was like, job.
What is the network? Because she wasn't there for any of that.
No kidding. She was dead.
Yeah, she was dead. And Joe explains the plot of the first book to Iola.
Oh, good. I've got to explain here. No, I mean, please, I need a refresher, Danielle. I don't remember it.
Nope. Iola asks how she can prove that it's her, which, good question.
Good question.
And so Joe asks her a ton of questions, which I did not write down all the questions, but basically like details about their first date and tries to trick her with wrong questions and asks about her favorite movies and her favorite snacks and plans they made. Like, he talks to her for half an hour. And anything that he can think of, she answers, like, correctly and in the way that Iola would answer them. So he's like, okay, I'm convinced you're obviously Iola.
Okay.
And he's delighted by that, but also terrified because now he has to decide between her and the network. And no, it's not any decision. He obviously picks Iola.
The network, if the network is so fragile that someone knowing the code phrase they gave to the Hardy Boys can bring the whole thing down.
That they gave to the teenager? Yeah.
Yeah.
So he tells them everything they could want to know
I bet Frank
Iola.
loves that.
Well, he wasn't in the room, so he has no idea that Iola
Frank
can be trusted,
the
I guess. Oh, no, Joe spilled the beans. He knows.
Joe spilled the beans to Iola or to everyone?
He wasn't there for Iola's questioning, so he can only take Joe's word that Iola is who she says she is.
Right. But I'm saying, you just said that, didn't Joe spill all the beans to the...
Oh, to the crew.
Assassins?
All of our assassins.
The assassins, the crew. I mean, that's
they're not really assassins. They're the Lazarus Clinic. They're a separate entity.
They're like a subsidiary of the...
They're not related to the assassins, Sam.
What? Then why? What? If they're related to the assassins, why do they care about the network?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Why aren't they related to the assassins? Why aren't they like the assassins' evil doctor division with dramatic flair?
I mean, kind of, but not really. We'll find out.
Okay, sure.
So they knock the Hardy Boys unconscious again after the information is given. And instead of just like keeping them unconscious until they confirm the details of the network connection, they keep them alive so they can make sure the network actually works.
Oh, kill one of them. You only need one of them alive.
Connection works with the network. They let them go into the cell. And before they can...
Uh-oh. Did you write it wrong? Or
no,
did the book
I just
write it wrong?
My notes were weird. So when they wake up, they're in that cell again, like the one for the high security patients.
Sure.
Before they can get too far, though, they wake up. They're like, "Oh, where are we? Oh, we're in the cell." We gave them all the information. The cell door is open by none other than our hunter friends from the forest. No, Iola is maybe with them. I can't remember.
Okay. Did they shoot at them just so they could spill the beans about seeing the girl walking down the path?
We'll find out.
Okay.
You're giving this book so little credit, Sam.
Danielle, is there a reason I should give it more credit? I have not been given any evidence that deserves more credit with the way things have gone.
This book explains all the things. It just doesn't explain them well.
That's my point. That would be a reasonable explanation, is that they were shooting at when Iola botched it, they needed to get their attention another way.
No, so the hunters admit they were supposed to have killed them in the woods.
What?
But when that didn't work because they're terrible shots, they literally didn't even know they were there and could have shot them, but they did not. And they had their guns pointed at them multiple times.
And then let him walk up to him with his hands up and kick him in the face.
Supposedly, they were supposed to kill them in the woods, and when that didn't work out, they went with plan B, which was they sent them after Iola, knowing that she had already screwed up the job that she was supposed to do originally.
Okay, question.
I don't have an answer.
Let me lay out this plan as I understand it. Their plan was to send Iola out to lure them back to the house for this elaborate trap, so they could pump them for information. Sure. But when they did that, they also sent out 2 assassins, but not the assassins, to kill... Okay.
So this is what gets explained right here. Is basically Iola was supposed to only lure them to their deaths with these two hunters. So she was supposed to like come out and Joe was supposed to see her and she was supposed to run off.
Weren't they fishing on a boat?
No, they were fishing like on a lake or something. No, so this is completely two separate events. So Frank's fishing. Joe's off in the village. Joe comes back, sees Iola in the woods on his way back. Not near Frank, just in the woods.
My point is, they knew where they were already. Why send Iola out there anyway? Just send the two guys to shoot him while they're fishing.
You absolutely probably could have done that. Maybe it was more close to noise people that would hear. I don't know, Sam.
That's I don't get.
And Frank wasn't there. Sam, the point is that Iola was supposed to like see Joe. Joe was supposed to go after him with Frank, and then Iola was supposed to like come back and distract them, and they were supposed to shoot him. Is it a complicated, stupid plan? Absolutely.
Okay. That's all I want to establish is that instead of just shooting them unaware of anything odd going on before they were suspicious or searching. Also, why did they shoot him when he walked up to kick him in the face? I
do not know. I don't have answers to any of these questions. This plan makes no sense.
Yeah, okay. And so when that plan failed for dumbass reasons, and I mean that they were morons.
They're terrible assassins.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're the morons. When that plan failed for moronic reasons, they said, I know, let's pivot to an even more complicated plan of luring them to our secret hideout. And then...
At least we can get some information from them.
Right, but if they don't need that information to begin with, why not just kill them when they get to the secret hideout? Like, why keep them alive? It's like...
I don't know,
you can kill them and you don't need the information, or you need the information, you can't kill them. Pick one.
I don't know.
Pick one!
Maybe it was like, didn't even think about the fact that they had a network contact, so now that we know that... I don't know, Sam.
I'm so angry about this plan. I am... furious about this plan. I've never been angrier about a plan in my life than this plan.
None of the plans in this book get any better.
I am incensed. I am glowing with rage.
So, for some reason, these two hunter guys are going to take the Hardys outside to kill them, which again is insane.
Why not just kill them? Shoot them in the room!
But while they're walking, the Hardys pull the classic, well, since we're dying anyway, why don't you tell us more about the plot of the book?
How about, you died anyway, why do you need to know? How about that?
So they assumed they're part of the assassins, like capital A assassins, the group from the Crusades. And like these two guys are. This is some kind of revenge scheme for screwing them over multiple times.
That'd make too much sense, though.
The hunters are like, yeah, we're assassins, but we're not on a revenge scheme. The Lazarus Clinic just borrowed us. The clinic has helped the assassins many times in the past. You'd be amazed how many people want to change their faces and identities. No, I'm not amazed by how many people want to change their faces and identities.
So the Lazarus Clinic has nothing to do with resurrection. It's simply a place to get a new identity.
Essentially. Out with the old and with the new.
I guess it still tracks. Fine.
Apparently, they'd been planning on taking over the Hardys for a while, but when they found out they were camping next door, it was too good an opportunity to pass up. But since it was on the fly, it all got a little messed up. Like, they hired the assassins on the fly. Obviously, the murder didn't, even though it was super easy, didn't get done.
The murder, like, he literally put his hands up and, like, said, shoot me, basically. Like, drew a target on his face from feet away. He got close enough that you could literally reach out and touch him.
Agreed.
And yet,
that
one part where he didn't shoot Frank with his hands up or whatever. It was Frank or whatever, whoever it was.
Frank.
Okay, yay for me. The fact they didn't shoot him is the part of this book that I hate the most.
Yeah, if you didn't have that, it would make at least a little more sense.
I mean, maybe they, like, shot one to miss, fine, stormtrooper aim, whatever, and then the Hardy Boys got the drop on them and, like, disappeared and, like, used their ninja camping skills. But
karate, please.
Whatever. And with the fact that he was like, no, just let him walk up to us and kick us in the face, and then we'll pivot to the plan where we're Quebec Canadians.
Plan B. We're hunters. Shooting a deer.
From Quebec. And we thought you were a deer. And also, you're the first one we shot today, so we're definitely a dangerous society. Report us, please. Call the authorities. Like, this should have easily been them saying, we're going to call the police and have you arrested for, attempted murder twice, or at least attempted manslaughter, whatever, reckless endangerment.
I didn't think this was the part of the book that was going to get you this worked up.
Really? What part do you think was going to be this worked up? I'm curious.
I don't know. I mean, I thought this was a poor plan, but you really drove it home.
I mean, I don't know if, I'm sorry, but it's so bad. Like, They call them assassins, and they can't shoot people who aren't even expecting them from,
Yeah, terrible assassins. They're kicked out of the club.
I'm sorry, I'm done. But, like, none of this happens. The whole book is null and void if they just did their job that they're named after from the Crusades.
Okay. Anyway, after hearing all this and the Iola plan,
sure.
Joe correctly guesses that the reason why it didn't work out, why Iola kind of like screwed it all up, is because she hasn't been fully brainwashed yet, and it threw a wrench in their plan.
Okay, sure. Except the plan to shoot them. Why do you even need Iola for that?
I don't know. So they agree. They agree. The two men agree. She was supposed to pretend to run away, like I said, and it would look like she was there. Blah blah blah. Make them sitting ducks. But she ran away from them for real, and they missed.
They were still sitting ducks.
Joe asks what interests they could possibly have in the network, and the hunters are like, I don't know. Above my pay grade. I'm just a contract killer.
I mean, good answer.
For once, everybody doesn't know everything.
Also, we're like clearly the lowest bidder contract killer.
Yeah, we're like new.
This is your first job, clearly. I've never held a gun before.
There is a part later in the book where they're like, oh, we're going to be in so much trouble for screwing this up. Kind of funny. Anyway,
they're still around later in the book. Great.
Anyway, the hunters lead them to a spot with some shovels and tell them to dig their own graves.
Just shoot them already.
So nearing the end of the dig, Frank and Joe do some brother ESP thing. And on a cue from Frank, toss shovels of dirt into the captors' faces, and while blinded, the Hardys shovel head them, probably killing them in real life, because it's shoveled in the head. But in fake life, they just knocked unconscious.
Do they take the guns and then shoot them?
No, but the Hardys swap. They don't kill people, Sam.
They should.
The Hardys swap their clothes so they can make it off the property, pretending to be them, and they bury them in the graves that they dug with their little gagged heads peeking out for funsies.
So that's even like worse because it's
so much effort.
Also, it's like so much more torturous to the people. Like, just kill them at that point. Be a mercy.
So they make their way past the guards undetected in their hunting clothing, and they hike into town. And they end up
they go home, they get their magic modem, and they call the network.
Okay, so they get a car at the general store, which for some reason has rental cars too, and they drive back to Bayport.
The general store, Danielle has everything.
General. It's clear that the bonus Hardys have already made it to Bayport ahead of them with the information that they gave them about the network.
Wow, that was real good job screwing that one up, boys.
Yeah, so they make it there, and they keep passing their like friends and family who are all like, oh, why are you back? I thought you were going out of town. You were just here. You know, all that kind of stuff. And the one person who might be of help is their father, who you may remember is a detective.
Right, that's why he was somehow trying to protect that politician.
Right. But he's in Hawaii with their mother on a trip, and they don't want to bother him, I guess, because...
Hey, father, evil clones are trying to destroy our lives and murder us, but this is probably not what you want to hear on your vacation, so I'll let you get back to it.
We don't want to bother you right now, because bonus Hardys aren't really that big of a deal.
Clearly. This is the kind of thing a parent wants you to bother them with, let's be honest.
I know. Well, if Frank and Joe bothered their father every time they get into trouble, it'd just be nonstop. So they run upstairs, they get home, they run upstairs to check out the modem the network gave them, but it's gone. And the computer has been sabotaged. Dun, dun, dun.
Great, sure.
But it's fine because they use their old school sleuthing skills and notice a notepad on the desk that's not in its usual spot.
Do they do the thing where they rub the pencil over to...
100%. Yeah. They do. Yeah, okay. I spell out some graphite and they rub it in there. And they notice a clue. It's an address. And
why would the fake Hardys write an address down?
Question for the ages. They must have talked to the network, and the network gave them an address, Sam. Obviously.
Okay. Oh, okay, sure. They couldn't just steal the computer and call the network when they were someplace safe?
The computer's toast.
I thought they stole the modem and everything.
Oh, well, they didn't it's a giant desktop computer. They're not going to take the whole computer.
Why not?
They walk out with their big old 1987 computer and their modem.
Why not? Take them, or at least the modem.
They took the modem.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Well, I think they took the modem. Maybe it got destroyed. I don't remember.
I just don't understand their plan of hey, this is the one way to contact the network. Let's use it once to destroy stuff, take it back to our secret hideout and have unlimited
maybe they
access.
took it and wrote down an address when they contacted them. Anyway, the address, Sam.
These people are idiots.
Boy, does not matter. The address, luckily this address, which does not have a city listed, luckily it's an address that's very specific, so they know that it must be Washington, D.C. because of the way the address is written
1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah, it wasn't just 123 Main Street and nobody knows where that is. They go into little detail about how DC has like concentric circles or something. I don't remember for their streets. And so this is the only way the addresses are written. So they know it's DC. I don't remember the reason, but it was very specific.
I wonder if that's true. It's probably true.
I'm sure it's true. So they're on their way to DC. When they arrive, they're surprised to find a rundown part of town, but decide to knock on the door of the big abandoned building anyway.
So they drove from Maine to New York to DC.
Yes.
This is like 30 hours of driving, right?
It's all the same day, probably.
I've taken a bus to DC before from New York. And let me tell you, it's like 11, 12 hours at least.
Sure.
And that's a bus, so, I'm sure you can get there quicker if you had a lead foot in a car.
But not that much quicker. I don't know how much time passes, but time is passing.
Okay.
Time has no meaning in books. We know this.
That's a fair point.
So they knock on the door, and a man in grimy denim work clothes with a baseball bat answers, and they beg off. They're like, oh, we got the wrong place. Sorry. Peace out. And Joe figures they must have gotten the information wrong, like the address wrong. But Frank asks him if he happened to notice the man's shoes. Apparently they were very clean and shiny, which seems kind of weird given
for a grimy tank top guy.
So he thinks it's probably a front for a government office.
Oh, these spies suck.
So they pay off a kid to be their scapegoat. They toss a bottle through the front window, break the glass, and when the man appears again at the door, the kid allows the guy to spot him and then tears off down the street. And the man is dumb enough to leave the door open as he chases after the kid.
These terrible spies.
So the Hardys head inside.
How are there not, like, more guards, or...
Probably because it's just a building in the middle of nowhere.
This organization is terrible.
Inside, it's just a modern office complex with a handy sign directing them to Edward Gray, who they assume might be the Gray Man. Good guess.
I mean, I guess that's not much of a code name.
It's probably not his real name.
This is like James Bond, telling everybody he's James Bond.
It's his code name. Sure. They walk into his office, and though Joe thinks the Gray Man seems pleased to see him, Frank immediately jumps over the desk and tackles him, explaining that he was going for the buzzer under his desk.
Okay.
So Frank is like, our doubles must have arrived already, and so he thinks we're the doubles. This is like that
doesn't
Spider-Man,
convince him otherwise by tackling him. Okay, I guess. I mean, why wouldn't the Gray Man, if they're already there, like, oh, you're back? You wanted more to talk to me or something? I don't know.
No, they're completely different clothes. That might be weird.
Okay.
Though I agree. That might
I think
be
he would
weird,
have like a few questions for them.
Well, unless he knows that there's doubles involved.
Does he?
Find out. We'll find out, Sam.
That's why I'm asking.
The Gray Man is like, oh, it's very clever of you to bring up the doubles, but not clever enough to fool me. And Frank's like, see, Joe, this is too complicated to explain to everybody. If he had pushed the button, this would be a whole thing. And the doubles would be long gone by the time we sorted it all out. So this is why I tackled the Gray Man. One person's way easier to convince than 20 people who run in here.
Yeah, possibly.
And he's like, what are the doubles up to, Gray? Tell us. And Gray's like, yeah, no, I can't even check your thumbprints with our system thanks to your convenient bandages, quote unquote.
Very convenient.
And Frank is like, well, we don't have time for this. We've got to take some more direct action. And he pulls the Gray Man's arms behind him. And it hurts, obviously. He's threatening.
So he's doing like that little, like, put the arm up and say, talk!
Yeah. Joe protests because wondering if maybe this is actually bonus Frank, because normal Frank wouldn't be into torture, but he is threatening to torture the Gray Man.
That does seem a little out of character. Or maybe not. I don't know these characters. I think they're the same person.
We just gotta take Joe's word for it.
Sure.
Frank is like, I've got a hunch that whatever our double's up to has to be stopped fast. If that means playing rough, that's what we'll have to do. Make up your mind, Gray. And this rational argument convinces Joe that it must really be Frank.
No. Also, like, if I was Gray, I'd be like, you're trying to torture the head of a spy organization? Like
how far do you think you're going to get with this?
Right. You're not Ivan or whoever it was that's like the torture expert. You're not going to be like, oh, you twisted my arm. Oh, no, it's like, Bush League. Come on.
Yeah. Joe is like, well, you might be right, but I can't watch. And he turns away. And Frank insists Gray tells him what he knows or he'll have to hurt him. But after several seconds of stalling, Frank admits that he can't do it and lets him go.
And this convinces the Gray Man that they're actually the real Frank and Joe.
Absolutely 100%.
No,
yeah.
Come
He's
on.
like, all right, boys, you've convinced me. Real imposters wouldn't mind torturing me for information.
Maybe they would if they're programmed to be. Come on, use your brain.
Nope. He says, you two have a lot of courage, but some stuff you just can't do, which is why we can't completely rely on you. But enough of that. Tell me about your devils.
Can you rely on them at all? Clearly not.
So they give Gray Man the bare minimum and then are like, we don't have any time for anything more. Tell us what they told you, which no government agent would be like, okay, no. You tell me what you know.
Yeah. no kidding. You're not going rogue on this, boys, even if you are the real Hardys.
Gray says basically like they contacted us on your modem and said they had to personally see me with some vital information. And they passed all their security checks, obviously, and they told me they'd gotten wind of a plot that concerned the life of the president himself. But they couldn't tell me what it was.
Because that's a real good important question.
1987. I don't know who was the president. Gray's like, but they couldn't tell me what the plot was. Frank guesses that they told him there was an organization that makes doubles and the Gray Man could be one. And so they couldn't tell the Gray Man who it was. They could only tell somebody higher up than the Gray Man.
Sure. And so they have to keep climbing the ladder.
Basically. And somehow that's the right thing. So they insist.
I would never buy that.
Yeah. So the doubles insisted on speaking to the head of the network because it was the only person whose identity the group couldn't know because it's like top secret.
So maybe just pass him a note?
Well, Gray's the only one in the network who knows who the head is, and just like a couple other people in other government agencies. And he revealed it to the Hardys, since that all sounded plausible, I guess, and he had no reason to doubt them.
So the head, or I guess the second in command of this top or spy organization, told some random kids who aren't even part of the organization, they're just like contractors, who the super secret head of the organization was that literally nobody else knows but him.
Yeah, and the weird thing is like supposedly the doubles were telling him that like we can't trust you, we have to tell the person above you, but we trust you enough to tell us who the person above you is.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense. Gray's an idiot.
And Frank is like, great, well, contact your boss immediately and tell them what's up, because, you know, the doubles are going to do something. Yeah. And Grace is like, no can do. One of the methods, it's so bad. He's like, we can't contact the person higher up because one of the methods we've employed to keep their identity a secret is to not have any mechanical lines of communication open with them. So
how do they do anything? How do they have any use to the organization if they can't communicate with them? Or like, we have our orders from the captain. They were sent by pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. I don't know.
Or like, you know, whatever. They're 7 days late. So, uh-oh.
Can't tell you. So they're going to have to go themselves to tell this person.
What? Yeah. Tell more people who this top secret leader is.
And he's
Gray's fired.
Voice from the door says, what a good idea, let's all go together. And it's bonus Frank with guns.
Or, you know, now that they know he's bonus Frank, he already told them who it was, so I guess it doesn't matter. I was going to say, they have no leverage. If they shoot him, they're never going to find out who the head is.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to this. I guess Gray could shoot the bonus Frank and Joe, but Frank has a gun trained on him.
My point is, if Bonus Frank and Bonus Joe, great names, by the way. If they already know who the leader is, they don't need Mr. Gray.
No.
And if they don't know, then they can't shoot him because then they won't know.
Right. They already know. So they could shoot everybody in the room. But, you know, It's a government agency and then everybody would come running. They probably don't want to create that much of a scene.
Or they could just go to whoever the bonus person, the top person
That's where they were going. They were supposed to have already left. They're not supposed to be here.
Then why are they still hanging around? Why are they wasting time?
I was just about to tell you, but you got sidetracked on why they came back.
Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize.
Once again, the book has answers you're asking questions for.
Danielle, I've never yet once been satisfied with the answers this book has, so you forgive me that I'm a little skeptical.
Well, this isn't going to solve that issue either. So apparently the Bonus brothers checked back in with Lazarus before leaving to go meet this mysterious head person, and were told that the Hardys had escaped and thought somehow they'd made it to this building that they didn't know about, and they decided to circle back.
That's a tremendous leap in logic. Also, if you already have the information, your mission's done. Just give it to the assassins or whoever, and you've done it. You've solved the mystery of who the top secret agent person is.
There's more to the plot, though. They were supposed to go and do something with this person.
Replace him, maybe, or like put him a double there.
Who knows? Sure. So apparently the network is just wild enough that nobody blinks at the Bonus brothers walking around with the real brothers, and they all just walk out the front door. Like
what?
Because it's the network. It's a government agency. Shenanigans always ensue.
So let me get this straight. This building in DC, where the second in command, the de facto leader of this super secret, super powerful spy organization, it was guarded by a single man in a tank top who ran away from his post, which allowed two children, I'm still going to call them children, to sneak inside and abduct this man, and nobody blinks an eye at this. And it's not like, I don't know, there's some kind of like keypads or other doors or more guards. It's just like an office building. Like, well, I guess he's going out for lunch, so it's fine.
Yep. That's it. You got it in one.
I hate this organization so much. I want the assassins to win. They don't deserve to exist, the network.
So they drive off in their Mercedes into Fairfax County, Virginia, to a fancy mansion. And unfortunately, at this mansion, there are no guards. The head of the network doesn't believe in security because security suggests something needs to be guarded. So the best security is no security at all. Then it just looks like a fancy house.
I believe that's called security through obscurity, and it's widely recognized as terrible security.
So they arrive at this house, and the butler announces their presence. And everybody is shocked by the arrival of the network because patriarchy. It's a charming old woman.
I mean, sure. I would still be astounded that this person would let anyone into their mansion.
Well, they do. The bonus brothers put everybody against the wall and tie them up. Then they call back for the butler, who they immediately knock out. So they're planning to set the scene so it looks like the Hardys, came into the house, killed everybody, but got wounded themselves when the butler came in, and then there was a shootout, basically. So
their plan is to decapitate the organization by killing this one person.
The networks, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of, yes.
Wouldn't it be better to replace her with a double?
You'll see what happens when we move forward, Sam.
Okay, sorry.
We get the plot. We get the plan.
Their plans have been stupid, is all I'm saying.
I'm not saying this plan's smart. I'm just saying we get it. Oh. The best part of this book is all the plans and the roll call.
I guess what I'm trying to say is this is a plan I think they should be using.
Yes. Well, Bonus Frank says, let me tell you, it's a real pleasure being programmed to be as smart as you. The boss told me that I would have the brains to come up with something good on the spot, and I did.
Don't tell him the plan! Don't tell him the plan!
Well, he's telling him that this is when he's roping everybody together and planning out how they're all going to murder each other.
Just don't tell him the plan!
So, before all these plans can come to fruition, doesn't matter, the knocked out butler comes to with a groan, and it catches the Bonus brothers' attention, and Frank and Joe use this opportunity to karate chop the Bonus brothers, and they get the upper edge for just a moment, but it swiftly becomes brother against Bonus brothers. They fight to the death, equally matched.
That's the poster. Brother against Bonus brother, this summer in theaters.
But luckily, the Bonus brothers weren't programmed to fight as a team and look out for each other, and in the end...
why not? I thought they were the same as the other brothers.
Because they're, also assassins, and they've been programmed to look out for themselves. And the Hardys...
What? Why?
They don't treat each other like brothers. I don't know. It's misprogramming, Sam.
Also...
There's no love.
Also, if this book doesn't have one of those situations like, shoot him! No, shoot him! I don't know which is the real brother. I'll be very upset.
I'm going to disappoint you because I didn't even think of that, but that is not in this book, and it 100% should have been.
Yeah, that's a crime. That's an absolute crime against literature to not include that.
I actually agree. And now that I think about that, I'm actually very upset about it. What's even the point of having so many doubles if you don't know? There's not a scene where you're not sure which one's which.
Seriously, I thought that this was going to be it. When they're fighting each other, they got all mixed up. I was like, which one is the real Joe and Frank?
Well, they're wearing different clothes, which helps.
Yeah, okay, but that can be solved.
It could be. So the Hardys fight together to win, knocking the Bonus brothers out to the floor.
Sure, fine, whatever.
And the network people are like, cool, stop self-congratulating and come get us. We need to clean up this mess, stat. And Joe asks Frank to speak to him privately before they do that. He tells Frank that they can't let the network people go yet because they need to go rescue Iola. There's no way the network will put Iola before the destruction of the Lazarus Clinic because they just consider her a valid casualty, which is true.
Maybe, but what do you think they're going to do? Just bomb the clinic?
Probably just go in and round everybody up and murder people. It's the government.
I mean, I guess that's true.
But Joe says if they just let them simmer here for a while, the Hardys would have a head start and they could rescue Iola and have the network show up as basically as backup later. They could
that's going to work.
Also, come on in.
Yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, you won't get killed trying to take on the evil assassins all by yourselves. But also, the network's just going to kill you later because now you know who their secret leader is and you annoyed them?
Maybe, but not. Because it's book 4.
They should.
They tell Gray and the chief that they will contact them later. Just be prepared with helicopters and backup crew to the location we'll provide. And they're sure some house staff will be around eventually. It's a giant mansion. And they'll let them free. Enough time for them to get a lead anyways if they head out.
Did they type the butler too or something?
Yeah, everybody's tied up.
Okay.
So the Hardys make it back to Maine. All of the day's work.
Is every city in the East Coast here 5 minutes from each other?
I don't know, Sam. Is it?
No. The big country, Danielle. Too big.
I know, I've been across most of it. So the Hardys...
Ooh la la, why aren't you the Hardy Boys?
So fancy. So they head back towards the fence line surrounding the property, and they decide to dig under it this time.
And they get shot immediately because there's security cameras monitoring the perimeter like any good evil organization.
They go to the absolute most remote section. Apparently there's no cameras. I don't know.
Everyone in this book is incompetent.
No. So they make it to the house, and as they're trying to get in, a random door is open. Like they're just walk up to a door, it's open. But as they're walking into the door... the goons are on the other side.
What do they expect to be inside? Puppies?
Yes. It's fine, though, because Joe has a plan.
They're the Bonus Brothers. Got it. Do they have the code phrases?
There are no code phrases. They're just like, take their word for it.
Why is this organization so bad? If the network has to have a secret modem, whatever nonsense, then you can at least have like the password to let you know which bonus brother is which.
Yeah. Well, they don't. They just like let them in there and like, oh, it's so nice to be back. We need to, do the rundown with the boss. And the goons buy in immediately and take them inside to talk to him. And
hate it.
Yeah. But Joe and Frank immediately give up that ruse and jump on the goons, tie them up, and stick them in the closet.
What? Why? They have the... There are more goons.
And then with like the noise, Ivan the Terrible comes out and like steps out of his office, I don't know, his laboratory, and they immediately tackle him and tie him up as well and knock him unconscious.
How do they have so much rope everywhere?
Well, they take him into his room that he was in, his little
torture
doctor
dungeon?
room. Yeah.
Okay.
They tie him up to I don't know, they probably use the straps that are on the table.
I'm just saying, they got convenient rope, like a magic rope, but it appears whenever they need to tie somebody up conveniently.
Well, he's tied to the table, and they wake him up once he's in this exam room, and they make him talk by looking threateningly at some instruments. They're like, if you don't talk, we're going to stab you with these instruments.
The torture is so pathetic that he can't even, see them looking at his torture.
Yeah, they're like, it's always the, big guys that are...
This guy sucks.
Yeah. So he immediately spills the beans as to where Iola is located, and they make their way upstairs to her room. And she is thrilled to see them again, and they try to hurry her out of the room to escape, and Iola, rushes forward with them and then stops. She's like, wait, I forgot something, and she runs back into the room.
I forgot to betray you because I've been programmed to.
And she turns back to her nightstand, and she pulls out a gun, aiming it at Joe.
Yeah, there it is.
We always get ahead of the plot, Sam. You're either behind it or ahead of it.
I mean, yeah, that's how it works. You're either right or wrong, yes.
Yeah. So Iola tells him basically, I don't want to use this, but I will. And Joe noticed she's kind of talking a little mechanically. And Frank's like, oh, she's been brainwashed. They finally finished her brainwashing. They're in control now.
These boys are dumb.
Yeah. So she uses the intercom feature in her room, and a voice answers. And Frank and Joe realize the voice sounds familiar, but they can't quite place it.
It's their dad.
No.
He's the head of the Assassins. He doesn't really know why. He was in Maine.
His mom's dead.
No! She's in on it too.
So the voice confirms that it's the real Hardys, not the bonus Hardys, and then says that means something went wrong, very wrong, with Plan B. After their escape fouled up Plan A. We'll have to switch to Plan C, the doomsday scenario.
Oh, this organization sucks. I think the network and the Assassins deserve each other because they're both incompetent organizations.
Yeah. I like how he says it too. Something went wrong with Plan B. After their escape fouled up Plan A. We'll have to switch to Plan C.
Maybe make a better Plan A. Make a better Plan A. Shoot them. Just shoot them in Plan A. You're done.
The best part is that he's saying this to, the Hardy Boys and Iola, and apparently this means nothing to Iola. So why he said it out loud is the real mystery of the book. He's just, announcing it to the room for fun.
Well, I think this guy clearly has the fur of the dramatic. He liked to introduce his crew one by one. I think it's like a theater kid who grew up to be an assassin.
She's asked, he's like, what's his face from the, Impossibles?
The Incredibles? Syndrome?
Yeah, him. Yeah, that.
Very good. The Impossibles. That's like the knockoff DVD you see in a South American, bodega.
You don't want to pay
it's
for
the
the
Transmorphers.
Anyway.
Amazing.
So she's asked to usher them to the conference room where Dr. Helmut von Heisen,
every time,
Peter Clark, and Colonel Jen are waiting for them. With them is a man in a lab coat whose face is covered in bandages, mummy style. His voice identifies him as the one that was over the intercom system. The man is the Lazarus Leader. His voice has changed since they heard him.
Is he now Mr. Gray?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
Ask the Hardys where the rest of
He's
the crew is.
He's the Hardy's brother's father. He just wants a family. Because he wanted to get out of the Assassins a business, so he made 2 sons, and he made himself their father so they could live the nuclear family in
Yes, that's the actual
Maine.
plot. We're about to get this long backstory about how he, why he didn't grow up with a family of his own.
Yeah, he was like an orphan. Now he's like, I finally made myself a family.
Yeah. Plot twist. That would actually not surprise me in this book whatsoever.
It might be better characterization. I don't know.
So they ask the Hardys where the rest of the crew is, the ones they all knocked out, and they go to rescue the ones they took out of commission. And the leader says he wants everybody there to witness their latest triumph and asks Dr. Helmut von Heysen to come forward to unwrap his bandages.
You can't just say Helmut or Dr. von Heysen. It has to be Helmut von Heysen every time.
It's hilarious every time.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. I was agreeing with you, yes.
To the Hardys' shock, as they unwrap the bandages, they realize it's the Gray Man.
Yeah, of course.
Well, fake one, obviously. Apparently, he's mostly functional. They had the voice and face, but couldn't get all the nitty-gritty details of his life and times because, government agent.
So it's Gray with an E as opposed to an A.
Yes.
Not quite
Gray.
Right.
Frank realizes the plan. It was to kidnap the network head to get as much information as they could about the Gray Man, and then they planned to kill her. And since the Gray Man was the next successor, they take over his life and run the network.
That's so complicated.
So complicated.
It's so much easier to either just take out the head person and imitate them to the Gray Man, because you don't have to fool one person, which is the Gray Man, or just take out the Gray Man and leave the head of the network in place and just be like a mole.
Well, maybe they wanted somebody already, designed to look like someone, and since they didn't know who the head of the network was, it was hard.
Sure. But then why just replace the Gray Man and leave the head of the network out of it? They can give you the orders, and you can use those orders and pass them along to the assassins, and you're one step ahead every time.
I don't know. They just want to run the whole network. They didn't want to be second in line. Unfortunately, the Hardys screwed all that up, so now he'll have to get a new face. By not
getting shot.
He'll have to get a new face. And Joe's angry about all this, and the head of Lazarus suggests to his team that they should tell Joe the whole truth so he can fully appreciate how amazing their work is.
Let him die angry.
Iola, it appears, is not quite who she seems. She's their greatest success. They had access to so much of her personal life. Joe refuses to believe they could have known that much about Iola because she knew everything that he had thrown at her earlier. But apparently, she kept an extremely detailed diary. So detailed that it somehow managed to answer any question Joe could possibly ask of her, like her favorite snacks. Because I know when I write in my diary, I often write about my favorite
Dear
snacks.
diary, my favorite snack of today is Snickers.
Wild.
What a boring diary that would be. Jeez.
Joe is absolutely appalled by this and asks the girl who she is, but she is unable to answer because they had to wipe her memory completely to make her so successful.
Sure.
She fully inhabits Iola persona. The leader says...
I'm so numb at this point. I don't even care.
We're almost done, Sam. Power through. The leader says he can tell Joe doesn't fully believe him and says he's going to leave them alone together for a little bit so that they won't think the Lazarus people are pressuring Bonus Iola to do anything, but it'll show how completely she's succumbed to their skill.
She's already been brainwashed. Even if she was real Iona, she could just act like Bonus.
Yeah, but they want Joe to fully appreciate Iola's.
Why?
I don't know, because this guy's full of himself, obviously. He's very appreciative of his staff, though. You got to give him credit.
I do. He's a good boss. Let's give him proper it is. He shows recognition. He elevates his staff. I mean, I appreciate him. I'd work for him.
They just want Joe to fully appreciate
maybe not his
skills.
plans. His plans suck, but I'd help him make better plans.
So as they go to leave, Frank says they might as well give up because the network has the place surrounded. And the Lazarus leader is like, there is absolutely no way they let you come in here to rescue Iola. And they're just sitting out there waiting for you.
Yeah, duh. Because it's a stupid plan that ended the way it should have with you getting caught.
Yeah, there's 100% you didn't tell them where we were because you didn't want to endanger your girlfriend.
Also, we have security cameras on the perimeter because we're a good organization. No, of course not.
They don't. Joe admits he might not have told the network, but surely the doubles would have by now. And Lazarus is like, yeah, they're programmed not to talk, so that's not a thing that happened either.
Your bluffs suck, Joe.
He tells Iola to kill them and join them outside after she's done, and then he pieces out.
Like any good Bond villain, he lets some overly complicated, prone to failure thing kill them.
Just shoot them in the heads, but no.
Because shot them at the very beginning of the movie, or book, or whatever.
So Joe's freaking out a bit. He's trying to convince himself, but he's like, this isn't Iola, this isn't Iola, this isn't Iola. But he's really struggling because it feels very real. And then he has an idea. So Iola like raises the gun to shoot them, and then he starts throwing memories at her. All the times they spent together, how much they loved each other. Like, you know.
Power of friendship can break the spell on you, Iola.
Iola starts to waver as she's like pulled into the memories. Like, yeah, we really did have a good time. I really did love you. And he asks her to hand over the gun to remember who she is. And this seems to confuse her because she's like, no, I'm supposed to kill you. And he's like, no, remember we went on all these dates together. We had such a good time and I love you so much. And you would never do this. Remember who you are. And he pushes her to recall that. And then she slowly hands the gun over to him.
No.
Yeah. Relieved. They're very glad the Lazarus Clinic did such a good job with Iola that she can't be another human being. She actually is Iola.
So if he starts dating her, how messed up would that be?
That would be super messed up. So then they go to leave the building, but it is locked. The room they're in is locked. So clearly they never imagined Iola was ever going to leave to begin with.
Yeah, of course. Why they don't even need Iola anymore. Why did they need Iola in the first place?
I don't know.
Like, if their plan was to murder the Hardys, Iola is a superfluous waste of resources.
100%. They escape the house to find the outside.
You're just agreeing with me to move this along. I love it.
It's true. She's absolutely like, what was the actual plan? I don't know.
I wonder what plan A was.
Yeah, you don't find out. So they escape the house to find that the outside's completely deserted. But before they can get very far, the house explodes. Ah!
Why do they just explode the house immediately?
So, like, I don't know. Everybody inside is dead. So they go to find a telephone to contact the network. But
they couldn't do it on the modem.
How? They can't do it. The line doesn't make any sense. It makes me unreasonably angry.
It makes you reasonably angry because they made this whole deal of, we need the magic modem, or we can't just call them from a payphone with a code phrase like I suggested from the start.
And as far as I know, they didn't give them any other information while they were there to like contact them. So bananas.
And if that ability to contact them existed, they should have told that from the beginning and not done the convoluted modem plan.
Agreed. So they make their way back through the forest trail towards town, but stumble to a halt. The Lazarus Leader is blocking their path with a gun in his hand.
It's Mr. Gray.
Maybe. Joe rushes the man, punching him in the face as men pour out of the forest. And Frank starts to laugh.
It's the network.
Yeah. Joe looks up in confusion. They're like, no, it's the Gray Man. You punched the Gray Man, dude.
Yeah, come on.
And the Gray Man's like, it's cool. I saw that other guy. Totally looks like me. Completely understand why you thought it was
Did you shoot him? Did you shoot the other guy who looked like you? Or did you let him escape?
They captured them all.
Oh, okay, good. Great. Easy peasy.
Yep. They asked him how they managed to make it there in time to stop Lazarus, because, they didn't actually ever contact them to tell them where they were. Because he was, the Lazarus guy was so confident the doubles wouldn't talk. And Gray's like, actually, the doubles didn't talk. Like, we actually want to find more about their programming techniques because we could use them on our agents to make sure they also don't succumb to torture.
This is, slippery slope there, buddy.
Yeah. And he's like, no, I just used my brain instead. You mentioned the Lazarus crew. I plugged it into the computer knowing you'd have this trip to Maine, and the Lazarus Clinic info came up. Essentially, I Googled property records.
Well, I mean, if you name your organization after a well-known local place that has the name, not very secret.
I mean, the local place is the same organization.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if your organization is public, not secret.
Yeah, crazy. So they'd been there for hours and had just decided that, how to do the full-scale assault. He's like, we've been outside for hours. We were just about to do a full-scale assault when everybody came out. I was like, way to be helpful.
They could have been dead for hours. This organization sucks.
It does. So Joe asks if he can see the Lazarus Leader one last time. And the Gray Man is like, sure. Not like he screwed us over or anything. Seems fair to me. Come on, boys. Let's go talk to him.
I would be like, you guys are so fired.
So Joe takes Iola with him, and approaching the Lazarus man, asks him who Iola is. They want to give her back her real identity. And Lazarus is like, why would I tell you that?
Yeah, well, you told me everything else so far, so I thought I'd give it a shot.
And Joe threatens him with physical violence, and he caves immediately for no reason I can fathom. And basically, she's a high school student by the name of Sally Collins. She's about Iola's size, and they kidnapped her, and now she's Iola.
So they're going to deprogram her, return to her family. No trauma there, I'm sure.
Yeah, Joe's like, great, now the network can make the Lazarus team, turn her back into who she was. And the network is all on board with terrible science under the proper supervision, quote unquote.
Ooh, this is very questionable.
It is. And Sally's freaking out a little because she's like, I'm not going to remember anything that's happened. And Joe's like, yeah, you'll probably just be like, they'll probably just release you and you'll be found wandering around with amnesia and it'll all be over. You won't be Iola anymore. You won't remember it. Iola will be gone forever and you'll be Sally.
And there are no
again.
lasting effects to all this brainwashing, de-brainwash, I'm sure.
Or trauma for anybody involved.
Yeah, repressed memories, all that stuff.
Yeah, so Joe's super sad about this, the idea that, like, the last of Iola is going to be gone. And bonus Iola is, like, trying to comfort him. She goes, goodbye, Joe, and thanks for everything. I wish I could say I'll never forget you.
Harsh.
Test line.
Good. Worth it. Worth the whole book just for that line.
And Joe turns to the Lazarus Leader asking if Iola is truly gone. And Lazarus is like, wouldn't you like to know?
Oh, gosh. I can just, like, wave a fist at you, you'll tell me, right?
No, he's like, I'm not for any amount of violence. I'm not telling you. I'd rather you be, like, miserable for the rest of your life.
Why you tell about Sally, then?
And Joe's like, no, I know Iola's alive. I can feel it.
No.
And Frank's like, I won't tell you to give up hope. We solve mysteries after all, and Iola is at the top of the list. We'll solve this one too, Joe.
Nope.
The end.
Boo.
Oh, gosh.
That was the book with the dumbest plans I think I've ever, like, I remember being angry at the plans in Agent Cody Banks, like the child spy plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is somehow so much stupider.
So good.
Amazing. Like, truly masterful how dumb those plans are.
But it's got a great cast of crew to, like, make those plans happen.
No, they all failed. Like, no one succeeded at any, like, they literally were on their third plan.
Yeah, so good.
Dumb. All right, well, thank you for sharing. That was certainly a thing. It has not changed my opinion of the Hardy Boys.
Love it.
In any way, I still don't know which one is which.
It's great for a reason.
It sounds like it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. How would you not want to read that?
Very easily. I think I'd be so angry I'd burn that book. I'd punt it across the room.
All right, well, there you go, everybody. The Lazarus, whatever.
The Hardy Boys and the unnecessary book. Amazing. Truly a book of coincidences and bad decisions.
Frank and Joe, number 4, Lazarus Plot.
Increasingly bad decisions.
Love them so much. You can't convince me otherwise.
I'm not trying to, but you can't tell me that book isn't just bad decisions over and over again.
Available to read on Open Library.
Love them. Thank you for sharing, Danielle. I look forward to the next installment and finally solving the mystery of Iola.
Yeah, I don't know if there's another book where Iola actually ever comes back, to be honest. I cannot recall.
So much for that mystery then, eh?
Well, it's a mystery still to you and me.
Well, if you out there have any thoughts on whether Iola is still alive, you can send them to us at bookretorts.com.
You can also tweet, Instagram, or Facebook us at bookretorts.
If you want to fund our knockoff movie, The Impossibles, you can help us do that at patreon.com/bookretorts.
It's going to be a winner.
How could it not be? It'll feature mall guard dogs that are just the dogs, no guards.
And dart guns.
And with dart guns in their mouths or collars or however you want to do it. I don't know.
We don't know how dart guns work for dogs, but we will figure it out for the Impossibles.
Can they blow? I don't think they can blow. Is a real problem here.
Maybe it's like pressurized. They can push a button.
We'll figure it. Maybe bark activated. They'll be bark activated, like a shock collar, but it fires darts.
Excellent. Love it. Print.
It's going to be in that movie, so if you want to see that, fund it for us. Well, until next time, don't trust anyone. They could be a bonus of you.
They could be a bonus you.
Or a bonus of whoever. So be wary out there. Be careful.
We don't even know if we're actually the podcast hosts. It could be bonus Danielle and bonus
you could be
Sam.
bonus Danielle. I don't know. Danielle, quick. Tell me something only you would know.
That's so hard.
Perfect. Well, this is why we would never survive.
How do you prove you're you?
This is why we would never survive a situation like this, because we were like, I believe it. I don't remember if that's true or not, but I believe it.
You're supposed to ask me to tell you something that only I would know that you would know.
Yeah, so do that.
No.
Okay,
that's too hard. I have to think. I'll get back to everybody. Maybe in the next episode.
This is the actual problem, Danielle, because I believe that. And so bonus, you could get away with it very easily.
I also tell everybody everything. I'm not like a non-open person. Yeah, like, good luck.
We would be such terrible, like, clone choices. Actually, it'd be great clone choices because no one would ever figure it out.
That's true. I'm sure I could think of something.
Well, until next time, we'll continue to investigate each other. Hopefully, you'll see us on our next episode with these same hosts or bonus hosts who are just as good. I mean, it'll be fine.
I like the idea that our bonus bodies are deciding to do Hardy Boys and Hyperion, just like carry on the legacy in their spare time.
You know, if they didn't, they get suspicious, right? So you have to.
The master plan is just to continue the podcast.
If they could finish Hyperion for me, actually, I'd take that bonus person. No, it's great. Well, until next time, bye.
Take care, everybody. Today, and I thought immediately of you, and I was like, oh, that's a good song to play on Sam's birthday, is Karmic Chameleon.
Oh, that's a great song. Why do you think of me, though?
Because you like to say it as a quote frequently, like it's not a song.
That's true. I like to say, you come and go. You come and go.
I know. And every time I hear it, I'm like, frickin' Sam.
It's a great song to say, like, Danielle, your colors are like my dreams. Red, gold, and green.
Anyway, I think of that every time. Yeah. Courage Day in honor of you.
I forgot about that.